Shalom Aleichem. Blessed night. What's going on, everybody? I pray you're well. Pray everything's doing good for you and your family. I am in my brother's car right now. He blessed me with the use of his car because of some issues going on with my car. It's funny, actually. This time last year, I crashed my car. It snowed, and Waterbury did not put down any kind of treatment, and I crashed. It is what it is. But it's been a long time since I've done a video. I've been doing a lot of listening, a lot of reading, and a lot of sharing information on improving Black America. And I gotta say, Trump has been spinning my head all over the place. It's been hard to kind of focus on what he's saying and what he's trying to do. One thing I agree with that he said is that America should not be the police of the whole entire world. I think that that's been a big issue over the decades, and I believe that a lot of nations are in turmoil now because of the United States government. And I believe that there's a lot of nations out there that need to solve their own problems and situations, and that if we continue to participate in how they do things themselves, then we're always going to have to give money to them. We're going to always have to worry about sanctioning this and unsanctioning that, and saying, oh no, because this can hurt my country this way. I think we all had enough of that. So I can understand them on that level. But if you're like me right now, it's very, 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 very difficult to figure out what's going on in our country right now. First off, if you're getting your news from NBC and CNN and CBS and Fox, especially CNN, all that kind of stuff, then I mean, pretty much you're being indoctrinated. There's no question about that. If you get your news from Breitbart or Brexit, you're being indoctrinated. You need to get your news from a more neutral place, and I see no news more neutral than NPR news. That's why I share a lot of it on my page and in my groups. I also share information from C-SPAN because, I mean, you can always get the wrong idea because somebody copies and pastes a specific section in a discussion to give you an idea or a view of what's going on in the world. And I think that that right there is damning, because that's been used against us as a people several times over. My other thoughts. People are putting so much emphasis on Native Americans getting what they deserve, and Mexicans getting the rights they deserve, Ecuadorians and all this other stuff. They're worried about what's going on to Muslims, but probably 2% of the people that have actually spoken out about the situations that are going on in the U.S. for Black Americans is what we get. We don't have that many people speaking up for us and what our situations are. But also, to be quite honest with you, Black people ain't trying to fund Black anything on the level that they should. Black Americans do not give money to the NAACP on a level that should with all the Black Americans in the United States. They don't do that to the Rainbow Coalition, but they will speak all day long about the goings and comings of Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. They are not giving to these people, but they expect them to act and operate certain ways. And what they seem to forget is that these people created groups and organizations to get something done. They ask for donations, you're not doing it, and when they're trying to do whatever they do on their level of understanding, you get sour about stuff. And I don't feel that that's right. I think that if you want something done, put some money in it first. You put money into the United States government every single time you pay taxes, and every single time you vote. I personally am for lobbying, and I'm pushing more and more that blacks should lobby. I think that the Rainbow Coalition is something that we should have a lot more organization of, but to be honest with you, if people ain't putting money in there, then they should kind of be quiet about that. LGBT puts money in stuff. LGBT lobbies like hell. You don't see or hear anybody crying about LGBT and what LGBT is doing. And if they do, they usually participate in the process and complain. And I mean, you can sue them as well. I mean, Jews ain't complaining about what's going on for them in their lobbyist movements. Animal rights activists ain't complaining about what's going on in animal rights groups that they actually pay for and they fund. These people are spending $30 to $160 a month on trying to make sure that these animals have whatever they have, including donating things to these animals on a regular basis. What are you donating to the black cause? What are you giving to the black cause? Who are you out there giving to? Personally, I say nominate me all the time. I guess I'm long-winded, so I don't get the views or I don't get the people listening to me. But I say that all the time. Nominate me. See what happens. See what I do. See who I hire. See what groups and organizations I create for the sake of my people. Because I will do that. I have no problem with it. I will jump to hiring grant writers, and I'll jump to hiring lawyers and making sure that they're lobbied. So now they can't take any other cases because I'm paying them more than enough money that all they have to do is what I need them to do, and meet with them every single day to get what I need to get done. And I would be able to get the homeless cleaned up, dressed up, and out there protesting for us just like a lot of organizations do, you know. But again, you would have to see what I view as a cause as being something that you're willing to fight for, fight with. And I mean, there would have to be a lot of discussion going on. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking to blacks and whites in general, and I've been saying to them I want a discussion forum, a physical discussion forum, because to be quite honest with you, Facebook does not work with trying to increase positive social expression and connection to people. So the goal is to try to get a storefront downtown Waterbury. Anybody that wants to pay for it or help pay for it, by all means, I am going to work with them to get stuff done. So if it costs $2,000 a month and 20 people are willing to pay $100 a month for that, then by all means, let's get this done. There's tons of closed buildings downtown Waterbury, you know, so that's something that I'm interested in instituting. Aside from the programs that I've already been talking to you guys about, that I've been asking for assistance in building. I'm not really sure what to say on that level, but the whole entire point and focus of anything I've been saying is for the building of the interests of our people. Trump has a lot of anti-establishment, anti-black, anti-anything not white people on the side. But the thing is that they also have historical trends of being for who they declare or believe are the people. You know, and that's a very serious thing to consider as well. Personally, Jeff Sessions is somebody like Rand Paul that I question whether or not he should be in politics. There are a lot of people that are politicians today that were and still are psychologically somewhere anti-black, pro-white. We could say that. They're alternate right or whatever it is you want to call them. But I'm not so much afraid, and I say this to make sure I'm clear. I was talking to a patient today, and they said, I'm really worried about Trump. I'm not worried about Trump. And I'm not worried about having a dictator. I'm not worried about having a king. Because if a king is dirty, at least I know, and I would be a freedom fighter quick as heck. If Trump got into office 10 years, 50 years, 1,000 years, it wouldn't bother me not one bit. The length of time any person assumes power in the United States does not bother me. And it should not bother you. I think that that is the least of your worries as an American citizen. Now, a person who's in office that is doing bullcrap that they should not be doing. It doesn't work in the interest of our people. They should be immediately removed. Bill Clinton, they went through all this stuff, these hearings, a jury of their peers, instead of making it a vote of the people, which is very important. When you have a problem with somebody, it should always be by the people's vote who put them in office. So if 50,000 people voted, 25,000 of those people voted for, let's give it simple, Martin Luther King protesting. Those 25,000 people who put him in office should now decide if they still trust him to be in office. And if they do not trust him to be in office, then for the rest of his time, those people should select somebody to replace him. That's how it should go. Waiting 4 years till something's over, to me, doesn't make any sense. Paying somebody $100,000 a year, $300,000 a year to be a politician, to me, is ludicrous. $30,000 to $50,000 should be the limit for any politician. And that takes care of a lot of stuff. A politician should never get pay after he's done with politics outside of him or her getting a retirement plan like their Social Security or 401k that they paid into. Which, I mean, again, if Obama's making 300 and some odd thousand or 100 some odd thousand or $50,000 or $70,000 within that 8 to 10 year, that 8-year time span that he was president of the United States and whatever time that he was senator, that man should have more than enough money to retire and not need us paying him residual wealth. Some governors have had that for a long time. You know, these are not kings. This ain't brain science here. If you have 45 presidents and 45 presidents are able to get wealth for 3 generations of their family, then that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money per living descendant. I don't want to deal with that. I don't think it should happen. That's what you call entitlement. Anybody is entitled or should be claimed entitled, they are entitled. That is welfare. Trump being president, he's got afforded a lot of things. If he's not president after this 4 years is up, his children will be getting dough from the United States government. His kids are probably getting assistance and things right now because he's in government. Now, we don't really know because we don't research what presidents get, you know? And I think that that's very important, that if you're going to talk about something, you should at least know the whole story, you know? But if you want something to be done, you first must know what's going on. You must be properly informed. And listening and watching news can be very emotional because newscasters are not biased. They tend to jump to the beat of the side of who owns them. Trump is anti-fake news, but Fox is fake news. It doesn't get any faker than Fox News. Very half-assed. My boss said something the other day to me. He asked me about George Soros last night. A lot of people are talking about George Soros because he, quote-unquote, has given money to Black Lives Matter movement. And he's probably given a lot of money to these movements. Jewish peoples have given a lot of money to organizations that are trying to attack the system. It's a very distracting thing. They give money to everybody and anyone because it is a tax write-off. These are organizations. They are able to give to these people. If you have foundations, the only way for anybody to get money from foundation is if you're a 501c status. 501c status typically also affords you tax exemption if you're not doing anything to make money for yourself personally. I believe that that must be understood whenever anybody is doing anything. But Black Lives Matter is claiming that they're not getting money from George Soros, or some of the people are claiming they're not. So unless someone is going to pull up the white papers that should be coming out on this tax return for the end of this year, or they pick up last year's paperwork for Black Lives Matter, they won't know who has donated to them unless it's some kind of private connection. Because how much the Black Lives Matter movement gets is going to be open. And I think last year they only got a couple $1 million. I'm pretty sure that George Soros gives tons of money to a lot of things, you know. So I think that if we as a people can research and can prove things that be authentic and accurate, then we can talk about situations of that nature. But for the moment, we should stick to more reliable information like books. And sadly, depending on what state you live in or what school you go to, your book can be biased as well. Monopolies are not good. Monopolies are illegal. There's a history of bad things that have happened with monopolies in the United States of America. Now, I took an economics course, and one of the topics was price fixing. Another thing was so much in economics books, monopolies and things of that nature. And while I was taking the class, I'm watching Bloomberg, CNN, and Fox News, and I see arguments going out and people defending monopolization and defending price fixing, as if things work out great when somebody controls most of either the communication companies, the power companies, the waterways, or food production, anything of that nature. I mean, we kind of do not get it here, but depending on who gives you your textbook, somebody handed me their textbook one time, and the information was so biased, but it was legal. If I remember correctly, a mother sued a Texas school system because in Texas, it was the textbook made it out that slavery didn't happen. You know, I know some people from Australia that say that the Holocaust didn't happen, that the Holocaust is fake. I wasn't there, so I'm not going to touch it. But it just goes to show you that information can be biased or can be altered based on who's out there. And you got to also remember, a lot of these countries or a lot of these people descended from nations that it was legitimate and accurate in their view to destroy books. And when you destroy books and education, you got a problem. Davos is getting into the education department. Fox News and Cox Communications, I believe, have been trying to get into the education system for years, outside of the education in the classroom thing, and they were denied. Fox News believes in that social engineering stuff, but they will reword it and call it so many other things. But they believe that they have a right to create a system where they can brainwash and program little kids to believe and think certain ways. You know, if you realize that these people back the same thing and back the same view, and you're not lobbying and you're not sending our kids to get as highly educated as possible, you're not working towards systems that provide us adaptable education software and things of that nature, then really you're doing a disservice to the black nation. Your lack of understanding, your lack of fervor or zeal to try to establish building something that will take our people to the place that it needs to be at, to me, is crazy. But I can't make anybody believe that. All I can share is information, and you got to make a decision yourself. We all make decisions, for better or worse, and skipping voting, lack of lobbying, and all that other stuff is something that hurts us. Because if you're not going to take the time to understand the laws, and I'm not a law person. I went to school for opticianry. I went to school for electronic engineering. I'm into art. I'm into drafting. I'm into woodworking. I am not a lawmaker. I am not into law. But you be darn sure that I've been looking into it a lot lately. And a lot of laws have been affecting me lately. Because of financial status. Because of location. If you understood, you would know that a lot of these laws are made for dealing with people in poverty. But just because those laws are made for dealing with people in poverty does not mean that you deal with something from a impoverished level. It means that you deal for something from a group economical level. And that's what makes people think that we always want handouts, and that we are thinking that we're entitled. That gives off the thesis that blacks always think people owe them something. I mean, quite frankly, as much as people talk about reparations and stuff, if you're still waiting on reparations to change things for the black nation, you're crazy. You are freaking crazy. And I don't know how you even still think about that in this day and age. By now, if we would have went through my $80 a month process, 4,000 people, 5,000 black people, you mean 5,000 black people don't have $80 a month? That's $4.4 million a year to build something that will create darn near 10 times that a year for the sake of building our people up. If you don't have that, what do you have? You could have been had all the things I discuss every single time I make one of these videos. Could have been had it. It is your choice not to build it. I'm not the creator of all things, you know. We all have choices, and we have to live with them. But this is my rant for tonight on how I'm feeling. I'm dizzy with what's going on with Trump, but we could do more ourselves. We could build more ourselves. We could research more. If we did not research, we could pay more. Don't complain about people who are doing something in their level of understanding if you are not putting the money up.